Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at the book of Jude, especially verses 5 through 7. But the entire book is a book about judgment. You know, I'll never forget when I began ministry over almost 50 years ago. And my first message was, hell is no joke. Hell is no joke. In my early years of pastoring and ministry, it wasn't too hard for me to preach messages of judgment and hell and damnation and condemnation. And I honestly was somewhat very legalistic. But as I grew older in the ministry and got more acquainted with the brokenness of the world around me and people that I was trying to pastor and help, it became harder and more difficult to preach on the subject of judgment and hell. And yet, what kind of person would I be if I knew that a bridge is out? I almost went over a bridge. I almost went over a place where the bridge was out, and I would have gone to certain death. And somehow or another, I just stopped in the nick of time. And then I realized there was cars still coming down the road, and they were coming to this bridge that was broken down, and they were going to go to certain death if someone didn't stop them. What kind of person would I be if I just, decided to go on my merry way and did not go back and try to stop the people in the cars that were coming to certain death? What kind of person would I be? I would be guilty of murder. I'd be guilty of sending them to their death if I, knowing the bridge was out, and did not do what I could to stop them. Well, my friend, that's what this book of Jude is about. The bridge is out. It's broken down. And anyone who is ungodly, anyone who denies God and follows after their own ways, they are facing certain damnation, condemnation, and judgment. And what kind of person would we be as a pastor who loves people and cares for people? What kind of person would Jude be and God be if he didn't have some words of warning? And that's what the book of Jude is about. So verses 5 through 7, he's reminding, I would remind you, remember here in verse 5, I want to remind you, though you once knew this. It's appearing that, we in previous times would have been taught this, understood this, known that, yes, there is responsibility, and if we fulfill responsibility, there's reward. If we fail to obey and fulfill responsibility, we will be punished. And so he says here, though you once knew this, that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed those who did not believe. That the Lord, some people teach good God, good Lord, good devil, good everybody. But here, you've got to understand, I don't know and really understand why the prosperity teachers and preachers seem to talk about God never does something to hurt people. My friend, God, it says here, he afterwards destroyed those who did not believe. And then verse 6, and the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but kept their own abode, he's reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. And so here in verse 5, he destroyed those who did not believe. He has angels reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the last day. And then he gives the third example with Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them in similar manner to these, having given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, or set forth an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. 3 verses, 3 times. Punishment, judgment, eternal fire, destruction. It comes to those who deny God. When we rebel against God, when we do not believe in God, as Israel did, as the angels, they decided to rebel against the throne of God. And then, of course, Sodom and Gomorrah, they followed after their pernicious ways of immorality and lived only for the lust of the flesh, such as we see happening in this world around us today. God says eternal fire of judgment is coming for those. So we warn you today, my friend, listen, not because we don't like you or hate you, but because we love you. God loves you, And there is a way, there is a bridge, and that bridge is Jesus. Come to Jesus. He gives us the answer to our sin today. God bless you, and I trust you have a wonderful, wonderful day.